2018 standard, which actually talks about IT service management system. And before that, a small introduction about myself. I am Ram Kumar. I am a lead auditor in ISO 9001:2015 quality management system and ISO 14001:2015, that is environmental management system, and ISO 27001, that is information security management system, and ISO 45001, that is occupational health and safety management system. Then IATF 16949, that is about automotive QMS, quality management system, and also a certified personnel in ITIL version 4 foundation. That is ITIL means infrastructure information library, which we are going to see in this how this ISO 20000 is having a relationship with this ITIL version 4. That also will be highlighted. And also lead implementer in ISO 22003.1, that is business continuity management system, and lead implementer in food safety, security compliance and food safety management system, and an HR soft skill trainer. And I am also a qualified lead assessor in CAI Exim Bank model of business excellence, and also a vice president of Consortium of Consultants of Chennai, CCC. That is a logo that what you can see in the every slide in the right hand side top. Okay, so this is all about me. And introduction to 20000. ISO 20000 is the international standard for IT service management. In short, it is called as ITSM, published by the ISO, that is the International Organization for Standardization, and ICE, that is the International Electoral Commission. Okay, and this standard describes a set of management processes designed to help in delivering more effective IT services. And ISO 20000 gives the methodology and the framework to help manage ITSM, that is information technology service management. See, many companies are there now which is handling lot of data about the consumers. For example, if you take Amazon, if you take Flipkart, there are a lot of data that is being managed. These are all service sector where they provide services. And even this Uber, Ola, all are service providers. And in the digital world, we are more dependent on the IT service management sector, because IT service management sector has come into place maybe in the recent decade, but now the percentage of the service management that is managed by IT, the share that is getting increased day by day, and there are a lot of apps. Even if you see your own mobile, if you see the icons that is there in your mobile, you can just count the number of service providers what day in and day out even a normal common man in this country is using. So this particular standard talks about how the service management system must be managed in a better way, so that this IT service management, there are no complaints and it can be smooth operations. And it helps in achieving business practice, helps to improve the delivery of IT services applicable to any company size and any industry, irrespective of the complexity and the nature of the company or the service what they provide. This particular standard is applicable to those type of companies. Is it clear? Okay. So how is ISO 20000 different from ITIL? This is what I have been emphasizing in the beginning when I talked about the ITIL version 4. But the ITIL version 4 is the latest one, and ITIL version 3 is going to get lapsed by this June 2020. So whichever company is having this ITIL version 3, naturally they have to get the transition to version 4. But because of this lockdown, there is a grace time that has been given by ITIL, and definitely I think it will be extended up to September, I think. So the basic difference between ISO 20000 and ITIL is that the ISO 20000 gives you the methodology and framework, providing you with the pieces to which to construct the ITSM jigsaw puzzle. While ITIL gives you the details, the best practices on how to manage each and every IT process in your organization. See, the basic fundamental thing you please understand, Any ISO standard for that matter, it will always tell you what to do. It will never say how to do. That depends on, and that varies from organization to organization. But whereas in this particular standard, there is a boon in the form of this ITIL version 4, which actually provides the best practices in a gold platter, so that the how to do component of the ISO requirements, that is what is dealt in the ITIL. So what to do will be there in the ISO 20000. How to do, how to implement all these requirements in your organization, the best practices that is being followed in the by the world companies globally, that is all put in a nutshell, and which has been dealt very in a depth manner in the ITIL version 4. Okay. Any doubts, you can raise it. Then there is the chat box. You can type your questions in the chat box. How is ISO 20000 different from ITIL? ISO 20000 says what you need to do. This is what I've been saying, while ITIL tells you how to do it. ISO 20000 does not work in complete isolation. It can be implemented independently from ITIL, but they can do very well go together. See, the thing is, there is no hard and fast rule that if a company is implementing ISO 20000, so is it mandatory to go in for ITIL version 4? No, the answer is simple no. But still, if they adopt ITIL version 4, it will be much easy for them, because the best concepts, best practices of fulfilling the requirements of ISO 20000 has been very well clearly given in ITIL version 4. So then naturally it goes hand in hand. So the ISO 20000 certification for organizations is essentially the evidence that best practices have been implemented. ITIL is not required to gain certification in ISO 20000, but it is easier to achieve if you are following an ITIL approach to IT service management. So this is what I said. So it will become easier for you to get the ISO 20000 certification if you are already following or already adopted this ITIL version 4. So ITIL version 4 and ISO 20000, this is a basic difference. Okay. So what is ISO IEC 20001? See, there are part 1, part 2 and part 3 here. It is ISO IEC 20001, which specifies the requirements for establishing, maintaining and continually improving a service management system. So it is for there to establish, maintain and continually improve the service management system. These requirements covers all stages of the SMS processes, including planning, design, transition, delivery and improvement services. See, there are different processes in the service management system. The first and foremost process is the planning process and the design of the service management itself, how the service management is designed and who are all the stakeholders and what is the flow of activities or the service activities that has to be dealt with at different levels, and what are the types of decisions that has to be taken at all levels. So that particular design is there. For example, if I tell you, there is a there are a lot of companies which do the payment hosting. For example, there is a Paytm is there, CC Avenue is there, then this PayPal is there. All are basically their nature of service, what they provide is one and the same, but the modalities, the module in which they are being set, or the design of the service management differs from organization to organization. The Paytm has its own way of delivering the services. Then this PayPal is having a different service, and likewise the UPI or BHIM, that app, that payment activity, that is designed in a separate manner. And PhonePe is there. Likewise, then the CC Avenue is there. All these are different platforms which provide services for making a payment or getting a payment, both the ways, and they collect the service charges for that. Okay, is that clear? So that is where the design of the service differs from, even though the nature of the service management is one and the same, but the design differs. And the transition is nothing but the dynamism in which the latest features are getting added. That is what is called as transition, and delivery and improvement in the services. What are the new additions that can be given? For example, now this COVID-19 situation, you may be aware that the Swiggy and this Uber Eats, what are they're doing now? Initially, the Swiggy and this Uber Eats and all, they used to, if you place an order, they used to collect that food from that ordered hotel or the restaurant and deliver it to at your doorstep. Now, in what typical services now they are being deployed in this COVID-19 situation? What is the improvement that has been taken place because of the situation now? Anybody? You can type your response. Are you aware what they are doing now? For example, Swiggy is having a tie-up with, they are providing other essentials also like milk. They are now delivering milk to every doorstep. And all the essentials are now being delivered by these service organizations. So these are the improvements which has happened. It's a new dimension in this current scenario now. Yes, very good. So what is the most recent version of this document is ISO IEC 20001 to 2018. So in the year 2018, the standard was released, which cancels and replaces the edition which was created in the year 2011. So it supersedes the 2011 standard. So the major revisions of the 2011 version, from the 2011 version to the updated versions, were made to maintain the relevant requirements regarding modernizations in the service management field. Tremendous improvements has happened in this particular sector, and lot of new people have ventured into this particular concept of IT service management. Either to be in the before 2011 and all, this sector was totally not that much famous, and nowadays the IT service management sector is playing a major role, and lot of companies their startups have come, and new services are also now coming up. So this is a very big area where there is a lot of improvements that is happening, and many new entrepreneurs, they are also interested in investing into these type of service management systems. Okay. So some of the growing trends that are now accounted for by the updated ISO IEC 20001 are the commoditization of services. This is what exactly now what I meant. See, a lot of commodities has been now being delivered at the doorstep of the people, to the common man, and management of multiple suppliers by the service integrators. This is happening because Amazon or Flipkart or whatever the service sectors what you have, famous brands, they are actually not the traders. They only showcase the products in their website, and there is a cart, and they receive some percentage of commission from the trader. Trader will be sitting in some part of the country or in some part of the world. In fact, the Flipkart or the Amazon has nothing to do with the product, but still they get the details from the traders, and they enroll the traders into their domain. And the moment the traders, what are the different types of commodities they are selling, that is all showcased in the website of the Flipkart or the Amazon. And once you log in as a consumer, you have a variety of things which is there, different types and different at prices, all in one stop shop. It is available. Even if you go to a mall or if you go to a shopping complex, you have to spend a lot of time, and time is a big constraint for people now, and time is money. So people don't literally have time to go for a purchase or go for shopping and pick up the things, and even they pick up, whether they are not very sure whether the price that what they have paid is competitive or not. So with the available choices, they are forced to make a choice. But the online showcasing of all these products, there is a biggest advantage that you have by sitting in your home or by just seeing your browsing your mobile. You will be able to choose a variety of commodities with a competitive price. You will be able to compare it. You will be able to compare the quality of the service what they provide. Then you can choose. So it is a consumer world now. So that particular thing is being exploited by this particular sector, that is the service management sector. So in this case, the multiple suppliers are getting integrated by the service integrators. So Amazon, Flipkart are called as service integrators. They integrate too many products. Even now, even the latest thing is they have included all the essentials also now into their domain. And the need for determining service value for customers. So they provide value for the customers. Value addition is being done. That is also there. And other changes include restructuring into the high-level structure used for all management system standards. See, the entire ISO standard itself has undergone a major revision. All the ISO standards now has adopted the HLS, that is the high-level structure. What is high-level structure? High-level structure is nothing but from class 1 to class 10. You take any ISO management system standards now, it has adopted the high-level structure. That is a structure that is being followed by all the ISO management system. And 20,000 is not an exception to it. That is what is emphasized here. So other changes include restructuring into the high-level structure used for all management system standard, that is MSS, and an overall reduction in specificity to shift the focus on to what organization should do while providing freedom regarding how to accomplish these goals. Every organization is having a liberty to set their own goals. That is why in the beginning itself I said very clearly, any ISO standard will say only what to do. It will never say how to do. So the how to do part gives a lot of liberty for the various types of organization, irrespective of its geographical location where they are in. They are having the freedom to decide on their own activities. And that is the biggest advantage in this revision. And there is a part 2 in this ISO 20000, which is ISO IEC 20002. The part 2 is ISO IEC 20002. Its purpose is to provide guidance regarding the application of a service management system. See, this is a reference standard or a guidance standard. See, in ISO, basically there are two types of standards. One standard is called as a certifiable standard, and other standard is called as a guidance standard or a reference standard. So certification is being given only to the certifiable standard and not for the guidance or the reference standard. Guidance or reference standard is there only to provide guidance. So this particular ISO IEC 20002, it is providing guidance as to how the service management can be applied based on the requirements of this part 1, that is ISO IEC 20000, which is a certifiable standard. So this complementary component gives examples and offers recommendations guiding organizations in their applications and interpretation of ISO IEC 20001. See, this actually provides, literally gives a lot of various examples across the globe, and also provide recommendations. Whether you can, if you want, you can take those recommendations, or otherwise you can leave it. It is all up to you. Okay, it depends on your whims and fancies. But generally, this is a guidance document or a reference document. Any doubt in ISO IEC 20000 part 2? Clear? Okay, right. So ISO IEC 20002, supplementary resource for organizations seeking to apply 20,000 recommendations to their service management operations. The goal of this part 2 is to provide supporting information and examples, making the application of this or implementation of 20001 much easier. And despite this, examples and supplementary details are kept generic. See, that is the biggest advantage. The examples whatever given in this part 2, it is not very specific examples. It is all very generic in nature, and all to provide the context without placing constraints on the organization, so it may act on the requirements as best fits its needs. So they can literally understand the general recommendations and the general examples, generic examples that is being given in the part 2. It becomes easier for any organization or any type of organization, whatever be the technicalities involved, they can easily understand these examples and recommendations and put that into action, so that the requirements of the ISO IEC 20000 Part 1 requirements can be fulfilled. So ISO IEC 20002 2019. So this was released in the 2019, that is last year. Is the most recent version of the second part of ISO IEC 20000. The primary changes from the second edition. See, the earlier version of second edition was in 2012. Now it is 2019. Our updates to align with ISO IEC 20001 2018, as well as improved clarity and consistency of guidelines. This 2019 standard of ISO 20000 Part 2 attaches 3 elements to each class. See, all the classes from class 1 to class 10, and the certifiable class are class 4 to class 10. 1 to 3 is generic, as we all know, in the high level structure. And these 3 elements to each class are what are the required activities to be carried out for addressing the requirements of that particular class. And there is an explanation part, including a purpose statement. Why at all this particular thing has to be done? What is the purpose? Why it should be done? That portion is also given. And other information, including guidance on documented information, role and authorities. So ultimately, for every requirement of each class from 4 to 10, every class, there are 3 things which is given in the part 2 as a guidance. One is the required activities to be performed for fulfilling the requirements. Second one is the explanation, that is a purpose statement. And third one is the general guidance on documented information. What all documents needs to be maintained for addressing these requirements, and the roles and authorities. So this is how it is structured. And next comes the part 3. So part 3, it is also a supplementary document created to aid in the application of ISO IEC 20001. This is as like the 20000 part 2, similar way, this is also a guidance document. But this deals with the definition of the scope and the applicability of requirements. Very, very important. What do you mean by scope? What is the definition for the word scope? Can you just sort of type it in the chat box? What is scope? Define scope. Anybody? Okay, let me explain. Scope is nothing but the limit or the boundary. Scope is nothing but the limit or the boundary in which the organization performs. Beyond that, it is not coming under the ambit of the organization. That is called the scope. And how the scope of, for example, there is a Uber or there is a Ola. Ola is providing is a service management company, right? So you are booking a Ola cab you are booking the location from location and to location, and it actually captures your number, and it goes to a call center or a data center where it is getting processed, and you are able to literally see the number of cabs available in the map by yourself. And naturally, once you are booking, that piece of information is directly fed to the cab driver, and the cab driver takes you to that particular location. Okay. In this scope, supposing there is some other thing, which is, what is the scope? The scope is to whatever the required destination that is being given by the customer. In that destination, the particular driver has to drop you and has to collect the money. If you have chosen cash as the option, he or she has to collect the money from you. Or if it is a Ola money, also you can pay it in Ola money, and they give the feedback to you about the way you drove the vehicle and what was the ambience, everything, and the cordiality, everything, and whether the driver was polite all those things are listed there, reasons are listed there. Apart from this, do you expect any other service beyond that with the Ola or a Uber? You booked a Ola cab or a Uber cab. What do you expect out of them other than this? Do you expect them to drop into your required destination? Correct, no? Are you expecting them to buy some food for you on the way, or are you expecting them to buy some newspaper for you or some book or something like that? Or are you want them to inform your house people that you are on your way? Is all these extra things is part of the scope of Uber? Maybe in the future improvements, they may include all this. Now they have included even some snacks, and you can book your snacks also while you are traveling. You can book some food. They'll on the way they'll take takeaways. You can take away the food and you can have it in the cab itself. Those things are possible. No, previously it was not there. So the scope is getting wide, and as and when the company improves its horizons. Is it clear? So for that, the applicability and the scope, the guidance is given in the standard part 3 of ISO IEC 20000. Okay. So the document aids an organization in understanding whether ISO IEC part 1 can apply to its circumstances, given the situations where they are in, whether they can apply, whether they can go in for this ISO IEC 20001 certification. That guidance is given in part 3. And ISO IEC 20003 can aid organizations during the planning and preparation phases of performing conformity assessments against ISO 20001. That means it can actually be helpful in the planning phase and also in the preparation phase. So if your company is in the planning and preparation phase, which document you have to refer? You have to refer the part 3 of ISO IEC 20000 reference document. This document is useful for personnel in charge of implementation as a service management system, as well as SMS assessors and consultants. So if you are a consultant, or if you are an auditor in this particular standard, or even if you are part of a company where you are implementing this standard, this particular document, that is part 3, will be much useful for you to understand the how to really explain or draft this scope statement and also the applicability part. So it is supplemental to both part 1 and part 2. So it is not a standalone document. You should not read it as a standalone document. In conjunction with 20001 and 20002, this part 3 has to be read down. It has to be those definitions, whatever that has been given in the part 3 must be considered along with these other 2 parts. So in this also, the most recent version is part 3 2019, which was updated to confirm changes made in ISO IEC 20001 2018 and ISO IEC 20002 2019. So there are 3 documents. Part 1 2018 is a certifiable standard. Part 2 2019 and Part 3 2019 are the guidance or the reference standard. Is that clear? Okay, any doubt in that? Okay, in addition to being aligned with the ISO IEC 20001 Part 1 2018, ISO IEC Part 3 2019 also saw updates to example scenarios that reflect contemporary SMS environments such as complex service supply chains. Now they have taken into consideration the complexity of each and every service supply chains. Okay. See, the 3 core pieces of ISO IEC 20000 work in conjunction with one another to provide organizations with guidance on implementing and improving their service management systems. All 3 parts have been updated to retain relevancy in the modern era of IT service management. So all these 3 plays a major role. If you are working for an IT service management company, or if you are providing a consultation with IT service, because there is a lot of scope now. Not this standard is people are not aware of this standard, and that is a sad part in it. Even consultants and the trainers, they are also not aware of this particular standard. Even the service management system companies, they are also not aware of this standard. So there is a wider scope for implementing this standard, and this implementation can be done at a very larger scale also. Okay. Are you able to see the screen? Okay. So these three sections do not make up the entirety of ISO IEC 20000, but they are the essential pieces for organizations seeking to apply these standards to specific operations. This is not the entirety by itself. That means what? Apart from the things which is given in these three documents, maybe some more things are there which are very specific to the sector for which the service is being provided. So those things will come as an additional thing. Additional sections are still in the process of being updated and published. See, because it is a dynamic environment where we are in, the scope for service management is going on increasing and increasing and increasing day by day. Even providing a attender to senior citizens who are sick in the home. There are companies which is coming up with a novel idea of training male nurse and female nurses and sending them for geriatric care. That is now a good business now. That is also coming under IT service management system. And this Urban Clap, you would have noted an app called as Urban Clap. Have you ever come across the word Urban Clap? URBANCLAP. Are you aware of it? What is that Urban Clap? Anybody? Are you aware of this app, Urban Clap? What they provide? Have you seen this app? Yeah, home-based equipment services, exactly A to Z. If anything, washing machine or your fridge, or there is any plumbing problem or a carpentry work, or you want to do the housekeeping of your house, you just make a call to them, Urban Clap. They will send you the appropriate person for doing that particular service. And they collect for a particular visit. If they come just to see, they collect some 250 rupees. And if at all any spares and additional things are required, that cost is separate. And they are providing a very beautiful service. In fact, my personal experience goes when my washing machine had a problem, I was not very sure about whom to call because already the warranty has expired. So I cannot call the authorized dealer or the authorized service agency. Immediately I called this Urban Clap. He has sent one fantastic service engineer and he has replaced some spots and now it is working well. So why I am saying this, it is being said here, the additional sections are still in the progress being updated, published, because lot of new arenas are coming into the ambit of IT service management system. And we don't know at the end of the century how many such number of IT service management companies will be there. God knows. And the situation now where we are in, some more new novel IT service management systems might come into place. So let us wait and see. That's why I said at the beginning, there is a huge scope for IT SMS. Okay. Now let me highlight about the history part of this SMS. See, it all started in the year 2000 when the British Standard 15000 was published, which was the real origin of this standard ISO 20000. Then in 2005, this ISO 20000 is published based on BS 15000. It has lost its identity as BS 15000. The new name ISO 20000 because ISO adopted that from BS. So in the year 2005, the first publication of this document, the standard got published. In 2011, the first revision of ISO 20000 was done. And the second revision has been done in the year 2018. That is the latest version, ISO 20000 2018. That is a certifiable standard. And the alignment with the other standards, normally in an IT company, there are already 2 standards or 3 standards rather, which is all being adopted. One is the mother of all standards, that is a QMS, Quality Management System, which we all know. And second one is the ISO 27001, that is nothing but the Information Security Management System, that also we know. Third one is the ISO 22301, which is very much relevant now in this present scenario, which is called as Business Continuity Management System or BCMS. So all these 3 standards are aligned to ISO 20000 2018. Because any IT company will have all these other three standards. And now, in added to that, if they are a IT service management company, they need to go in for ISO 20000 2018 because it will add more value to them. And requirements, the new requirement, there is a context of the organization which has like HLS. 6.1 is action to address risk and opportunities. 8.2 is a service portfolio. And 8.2.5 is asset management. And 8.4 is the supply and demand clause. And which has gone from with the previous version is the configuration management. Configuration management of database. That is gone now. It is no more mandatory. And documented capacity plan is not required. Documented availability plan also is not required. Delivery policy is gone. And continual improvement policy is also not there. These are all things which has been removed and which is not in place in the 2018 standard. That is the latest one. And old and new, this comparison, previously it was 9 classes. Now it is 10 classes. Previously there were 13 processes. Now in this 2018 it is 17 processes. Previously it was 4 group of process groups. Now there are 6 process groups in this latest one. 40 mandatory documents. Now they have reduced the level of mandatory documents from 40 to 18. This is a major breakthrough what they have done. They have reduced the burden of maintaining the mandatory documents. And mandatory records, of course, since the documents, the burden was reduced, the objective evidence for conformity that has slightly increased from 14 to 21, which is a mandatory record. Okay, so this is a basic difference. And most important areas in the differences is the risk and opportunities and the context of the organization, interested parties, asset management, and CMDB is not mandatory now. That is configuration management database is not mandatory. Process support service reports is modified completely. Every service organization will generate a service report. That service report, process-based service reports, the requirements have been modified because with the changing scenario and the dynamic scenario, it cannot be the same mold of which was followed in the year 2011. Thereafter, a lot of technological changes has come. Even now, you can see the star ratings. Whenever you travel in a Uber or a Ola, the service report is given in the form of a feedback from you. Immediately, you complete it and you say yes, good, polite, and you give a rating to the driver and also about the condition of the vehicle and the quality of the driving. Okay. And moderate, independent process for the continuity and for the availability, independent process for the demand, independent process for the service catalog management, independent process for the incident management and for the service request. This is very, very important in this. And PDCA is not referenced to the new standard. Number of mandatory documents is reduced. Service catalog, which is now changed to service portfolio. And the section about design and development now is redefined. And different sections about parties involved in the service that has been included. And preventive actions have been withdrawn in the new standard because risk-based thinking has come into place. The previous terminology of preventive actions was removed from the new standard. So the small changes is in the leadership planning, support, operations, and the performance evaluation, which was there earlier in 2011 also, but small changes they have done. From management responsibility, they have changed it to leadership. So service, we'll see, let us see some definitions of the words that is used in the standard and understand them, their meaning. So a means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcome. Outcome means result that customers want to achieve without the customer having to manage specific cost and risk. See, you are actually reducing the risk of the customer and also the cost. That is why your service quality is rated as high by the customer. Supposing the service what you provide generates more risk and also incurs more cost from the customer's end, will they honor you or will they keep you in the business? No, they will not keep you. So the primary focus of any service management system is at a manageable specific cost and with little risk, they have to provide the service to the customer so that the customer feels happy at the end of the day. Okay. Service management, it is a set of specialized organizational capability. It talks about the capability for enabling value for customers in the form of services. Developing these organizational capabilities requires an understanding of the nature of value, the nature and scope of the stakeholders involved, and how value creation is enabled through services. So what is the value addition that the company is able to provide to the customer because of their service? That is the deep understanding what is required in the organizations. The next terminology is the value. Value is nothing but the perceived benefits, usefulness, and importance of something. The purpose of an organization is to create value for stakeholders. So any organization, for the reason why it is formed, because it has to provide some value addition to the stakeholders. So value is subjective. Value is subject to the perception of the stakeholders, whether they be customers or consumers of the service or part of the service provider organization. So anybody who is there in the customer side or the consumer end, definitely that person has to perceive how their perception is about the value addition. That is very, very important. Normally the value is nothing but a subjective word. Okay. And here you can see a diagram or a picture wherein the value is in the central part, and the affected outcomes, cost introduced, the risk introduced, it should be on always on the other side, and supported outcomes, the cost removal and the risk removal must be the aim and the objective of any service provider organizations. Okay, so this picture gives you a clarity as to what is the meaning of the word value means. Value means supported outcomes, value means cost removal, value means the risk removal. Or on the contrary, the affected outcomes should be nil, the cost introduced should not be there, or the introduction of risk also should be nil in the value. That is called as a value. Okay. So output versus outcome, these are basic terminologies which I have provided here for your better understanding. Okay. So output is nothing but a tangible or intangible deliverable of an activity. Supposing an activity is performed, the tangible or intangible deliverables is known as an output. Outcome is nothing but a result for a stakeholder enabled by one or more inputs. So one or more outputs. So what is outcome is nothing but the result. Okay, what is the result? That is called as output. So acting as a service provider, an organization produces outputs that help its customers to achieve certain outcome. So acting as a service provider, your main purpose is to produce the intended output and the intended outcome. That is a terminology used. What do you mean by intended output and intended outcome? Intended output means desired output. Intended outcome means desired outcome, or desired outcome by the customer, desired output by the customer. That is what is meant here. Okay. So risk is nothing but a status of uncertainty. As we all know, a possible event that could cause harm or loss or make it more difficult to achieve the objectives. Also defined as uncertainty of outcome. So you are not very certain about what the result is going to be, and can be used for measuring the probability of positive outcomes as well as negative outcomes. See, the positive outcome of risk is known as an opportunity. The negative outcome of risk is known as threat. Let me repeat again. The positive outcome of risk is known as opportunity. The negative outcome of risk is known as threat. So here both are talked about. Risk itself is not a negative word. Risk is a very neutral word. So please don't get carried away. The moment you hear the word risk, you should never think that, oh, it is something negative is going to happen. No. Something positive also can happen. It all depends on how the mitigation is being planned for the nature of risk that where you are in. So the service consumer perspective, risk removed from a consumer by the service, this is one category. You are removing a risk to the consumer by providing a service. That is nothing but the risk removal. Risk imposement on a consumer by the service. You are imposing a risk on the customer because of your service. Does it happen? First sentence you are able to understand. Yeah, I am there only to remove a risk. Okay. Can you give any example where a risk is imposed on the consumer or the customer because of your service? Any such example is there? See, for example, in Flipkart, you are ordering one particular material. The courier person comes and delivers it. You open it up and you see to that the material is totally different. So the risk is it a risk imposed on you, or is it the risk which is removed from you? A wrong delivery of a wrong product, which you have not asked for, but it has come to you. And the delivery fellow has also delivered it to you. So what is the next step you are supposed to do? You have to raise a complaint ticket, and that needs to be resolved. Am I right or wrong? Yes. So the service consumer perspective, there are two perspectives. Either the risk can be removed by the service provider, or on the contrary, the risk can be imposed. Second one is always dangerous. Okay. Stakeholders, organization, a person or a group of people that has its own functions with responsibility, authority, and relationship to achieve its objectives. Service providers, an organization that undertakes provisioning of services. The service provider can be external to the customer organization, consumer organization, or can be part of the same organization. For example, Flipkart, the courier fellow who is coming and delivering it to you is not part of a Flipkart or Amazon. They are not employees. They are all outsourced people. Even the driver, Ola or Uber driver, even the car, even Ola doesn't own any cars, or Uber doesn't own any car. Are you aware of it? They don't own even a single car. But still they are the service provider for cab services. You see how cleverly you can establish a service management company. Even if you doesn't own the asset also, you can still run the business. And that is a modern way of doing a business without any hotel. The Oyo app is there. They don't own any hotel at all. But you can see Oyo rooms everywhere. Actually, Oyo is not at all having any hotel, any lodge. All budget hotels, they have a network, and they have brought all the budget hotels under their ambit, under their umbrella, and all these individual hotels or lodges bear a name, bear a neon lamp outside their hotel, Oyo rooms. And Oyo rooms, everywhere it is there. This business started very recently. See, the IT service management, how it plays a major role. Okay. So the service providers, here the service provider is a large fellow, owner of the lodge, but the business is actually run by Oyo. So likewise, so many other service providers are there. I can quote so many number of service providers on that. In our country, the list is very long. Okay. That is why I said the perspective of implementing the standard is huge. ITSMS, but this is going to be the order of the day in future. Customers, consumers will be demanding. If at all any service provider is not having this ISO logo, they may not even prefer that particular service provider, because they know very well systems are not in place. Okay. Service consumer, that is we as a common man on the road, the organization or an individual receiving the services are known as service consumers. MakeMetric also is a very good example. Very good. Right. They don't have any plane or anything like that, or even Go, Ibigo or Ixigo. All these are IT service management companies. Correct. And why is service management required? Organizations are increasingly dependent on IT service provision, higher visibility, and more extracting user demands, increased complexity of the infrastructure, charging for IT services, competition for customers. See, these are all the reasons behind why there should be a service management. And I have been giving a lot of practical examples in our day-to-day life, how IT service management companies are really coming into existence. Even some of you might think in this COVID-19 situation, you yourself can become an entrepreneur by establishing an IT service management company for the growing demand for certain things in this COVID-19 scenario. I don't know. Some of you may have some creative ideas where you can come out with your own brand name and you can establish. Not that you have to literally have a technical knowledge or own that business. Not necessary. Some people are already there. Your job is only to unite them and make them to come under a single umbrella. That is the only job what you are supposed to do. Redbus, for example. Redbus doesn't own any bus at all. Two fellows in Bangalore, when they were going for their holidays, they found it very difficult to get tickets for them to go to their native place. That made them to come out with a novel idea of Redbus. Now Redbus, they have sold it to some company. That's what I believe, and they have got huge money because of the brand name. So the branding and the placement of the branding and the quality of service what you provide. And previous to Redbus, there were a lot of chaos and confusions for traveling and booking in omnibus, particularly during the festival days and during the weekends. Lot of unhealthy practices were there in that sector. Now, after the introduction of Redbus app, now what you see, there is a lot of change that has happened, and everybody feels that whatever the money what they pay for that particular service, the value addition what they have to get in reciprocation, they want a quality service. That is what everybody wants. Even they don't mind spending some extra money also. But that there must be a transparent transaction between the consumer and the company. That is what is happening. Okay, and a lot of complaints also are there in Redbus, but still they were able to establish their brand. Okay, right? So what do customers want? So customers, Big Basket, yeah, Big Basket is also there. It's a very big brand. So see, lot of things are coming up now. So ITIL version 4 foundation and this ISO 20000 part 1. Please, if you are not qualified enough, see the purpose of this awareness training program is to make you to think as to how exactly you can utilize this. Srinivasan sir, please put your audio on mute, please. Okay, thank you. So IT services designed to meet the business requirements, cost efficient and effective services, value for money, consistent service. These all as a consumer we want to be treated with respect and courtesy, improve relationships, expectations met or exceeded, to gain the competitive edge over the rivals, increase the market share and communication. This is what we as a customer we want. And this PDCA cycle, though it is not formally applied, but still there is in the background it is there. Any ISO standard, the principle is PDCA, but as such it cannot be there visibly. So the plan part is to establish, document and agree to policies, objectives, plans and processes. Do part is to implement and operate the design and transition and delivery and the improvement. Check is to monitor, measure and review the service management system and service performance indicators and continually improve the performance of the SMS and the services. Okay. So the new ISO 20000 structure, as I already told you, it follows the HLS, that is a high-level structure from starting from class 1 to 10. And HLS details the requirements of service management processes. The operational processes are grouped into 7 subsections that cover the entire life cycle of the service creation, delivery, and support, as well as interactions with customers and suppliers, both internal and external. None of the requirements of the standard can be ignored because all classes are mandatory for compliance. There is no provision for any company saying this particular class is not applicable. So not applicable or exclusive things is not there in this particular management system. So any doubt in this? So this is the structure, HLS structure which you are seeing on the screen now. The context of the organization, that is a class 4, class 5 is the leadership, class 6 is the planning, class 7 is the support for the SMS, class 8 is the operation of the SMS, class 9 is the performance evaluation, and class 10 is the improvement. So these are all the list of mandatory documents any company has to maintain. Scope of the service management system, class 4.3, service management policy and objectives, classes 5.2 and 6.2, risk assessment and management, service management plan, change management policy, information security policy, service continuity plan, and processes of the organization SMS, then service requirements. These all things has to be mandated. Service catalog, service level agreement, SLAs, contract with the external suppliers, agreements with the internal suppliers or customers acting as a supplier, services that are provided or operated by other parties, service components that are provided or operated by other parties, processes are part of process in the organization. This is called an outsourced process that are operated by other parties. And customers, users, and other interested parties of services provided, release acceptance criteria, risk for service availability, service continuity, and information security, and procedure for classifying and managing a major incident, procedure for continuing operations in the event of a major loss of service. When it happened, for example, procedure for continuing operations in the event of a major loss of service. Can you quote any example for this? Yeah, Varda cyclone. Very good. So during Varda cyclone in Chennai, some operations they were not able to continue their services, but still for remote locations, some service providers, they were able to still hold on to the service with a minimum strength. Even in this COVID-19 scenario also, some service operations are still operating, braving the risk. For example, the food service providers like Swiggy or Uber or Zomato, they are all allowed, they are permitted. Even though there is a lockdown scenario, they provide the services and they provide the food at the doorstep of the people. So these are all things which is there. So there should be a proper procedure for it for continuing the service operations and procedure for restoring normal working conditions after a service disruption. Then capacity requirements, design of new or changed requirements, and service availability requirements and targets. These are all some of the mandatory documents. Some of the mandatory records are record for training, skill, experience, and qualification, results of service availability monitoring, configuration information, records of any service complaints, records of any disputes between the organizations and external suppliers, requests for change, incidents, service requests, problems, known errors. In some organizations, these are all automated now. This is not maintained manually. All logs and other things are there where you can just go and pull out the log and you can verify whether it's adequate or not. Okay. Gone are the days where manual records were maintained. Nowadays, it is not so. Test results of service continuity plans. There should be a mock drill which has to be conducted for the service continuity plans. And even in this, there is a concept called as call tree, which is applicable for service management system also, where some trigger has to be given. There is a disruptive incident and people are all in the field. Something happens in some area and suddenly some trigger has to be given to the cab drivers that don't go to that area. There is a problem in that area. So that sort of alerts or that sort of triggers can be given through a call tree management. That is part of this service continuity plan. And information security incidents, monitoring and measurement results, internal audit program, results of the internal audit, periodical internal audit has to happen, followed by a management review as like in any other ISO management system. And there must be a proper corrective actions for the non-conformities that is being identified. And of course, there are a lot of opportunities for improvement always, because whenever there is an element of risk, there is an opportunity for improvement. Okay. So other documents, procedure for determining the context, external context and the internal context, procedure for addressing the risk and opportunities, procedure for competence, training and awareness, document and record control, management of non-conformities and corrective actions, monitoring customer satisfactions, internal audit and management review. So the eligibility for certification is nothing but an organization must be able to demonstrate it as management control of each of the ISO 20000 processes. So if a service management organization is able to demonstrate that it has control over all the processes of ISO 20000. What do you mean by control here? When you can say things are under your control. So that is given in the next para. Management control of a process consists of knowledge and control of the inputs. Whatever the inputs that has to be there, whether the knowledge, particular person who is handling, that person is having thorough knowledge about the inputs or not. And knowledge, use and interpretation of the outputs, definition and measurement of metrics, demonstration of an objective evidence of accountability for process functionality, and definition, measurement and review of process improvements. So these are all the way in which the process control and the alignment with ITIL with ISO 20000 is ISO 20000 is a resolution processes which is defined as incident management and a problem management in ITIL, and control processes that is addressed as change management and configuration management. Release process is release management. and there is no formal process for a service desk. That is the service desk which is coming here in ITIL. And service level management, service reporting, and business relationship management and supplier management all put together, it is called as service level management in ITIL. And service continuity and availability management is IT service continuity management and availability management. These are two separate processes in ITIL. Budgeting and accounting is financial management. Capacity management is the same. And information security management is addressed in 20,000, but there is no formal process for information security management in ITIL. So, driven either through choice or the customer demand, ITIL has been adopted to many organizations as a proven methodology for managing their IT services. Many organizations, and in particular the public sector, see ITIL as a necessary requirement to conduct business. Many public sector organizations have opted for adopting ITIL version 4. So that is always there. And ITIL, however, is not a standard, and therefore alignment between ITIL and ISO 20000 allows organization to be effectively measured. See, ITIL is only a guidance of practices. This guidance of practices is itself is not a standard. You cannot get any certification for your company as yes, ITIL 4 Foundation certified organization. No. But if there are qualified people who are qualified in ITIL Foundation, ITIL version 4 Foundation, they will be able to add more value in implementing this ISO 20000 standard. And alignment of ISO 20000 and ITIL, ISO 20000 certification provides proof through audit that best practice has been deployed through an independent external evaluation by an approved audit organization. So the external auditor will come and see whether the best practices has been deployed or not. And the customer demand for ISO 20000 organization is fast becoming another business requirement for organizations to remain competitive. As I already told you, many companies have started demanding that their service organization should go in for this ISO 20000 certification. And ISO 20000 is aligned with ITIL. ISO 20000 has become a basic business requirement for an organization in the same manner as ISO 9000. So ISO 20000 provides the organization with the means to operate more effectively and efficiently. That means the output and the outcome. And ISO 20000 provides an auditable method by which it can assess the quality and conformance of its IT services. Very, very important is the quality of the IT services that is being provided by the service management company. They can be sure if they adopt this ISO 20000. Okay. So ISO 20000 assists organization to enforce process compliance, and ISO 20000 helps to significantly improve the morale of the IT department, the business, and ultimately the customer. And ISO 20000 provides clear evidence that the quality of IT service management is taken seriously. See, for example, in one video became viral, as you are all aware. A delivery boy eating the food before it is getting delivered. I think that became viral in the WhatsApp, correct? And what happened to the image of the company then? Will people opt for it? If the delivery person of Swiggy or some Zomato or something like that, if they eat the food and there is a viral video that is going on in the social media, the image of the company will go down. So these are all very important things, and the people who are all deployed are very normal people who are the delivery boys. So all these things, the training has to be given to all the, if a Uber driver or a Ola driver misbehaves with the passenger or the customer, what will happen? The image of Uber or Ola will go, correct? Am I right or wrong? So the people who are ultimately, who are the face of that company, they have to be very careful because they are directly dealing with the consumer. So to summarize, the business requirement and the customer satisfaction are primary considerations. Information services are a vital and core part of the business. Organizational culture is important and has to be right. We need to think end-to-end service. Service management is not optional. No more it is optional. Okay. It is mandatory now. And quality process-driven approaches and professional staff really deliver the value. And professional qualifications and certifications are becoming increasingly important. And last but not least, ITIL and ISO 20000 provide a solid framework for developing an appropriate solution. So any company which is having many problems in their kitty, they can very well come out of all those problems if they are able to adopt this ITIL version 4 and ISO 20000. So with this, I complete this awareness training. So over to you people for any clarifications or questions. Hope you enjoyed the session. And this actually, the purpose of this training is to give you an awareness about an outline of this, what is all this ISO 20000 is about, and what is this concept of IT service management, how it is gaining importance in this present scenario, and how faster this particular sector is growing and developing. And we have a lot of opportunities in this particular arena. So that was the purpose of me conducting this awareness training.